This week I'm joined by Britney Penfold to discuss painting miniatures. How are you doing, Britney?
I'm doing good.
Now, I struggle to paint miniatures. I do enjoy it. How did you get into painting miniatures?
Well, I started back playing D&D a little over a year ago, and I really like the aspect of having, the miniatures in front of you. I like having books. I like being able to see what we're doing in real time instead of imagining it.
Yeah.
Having that visual is really important for me, especially during combat. So I decided I wanted to get a miniature of my first character, which was Marigold, an elf. And I kind of just got some craft store acrylic paint and some brushes that I've already had, the smallest ones I could find, and put on some glasses, and I went to town. It didn't turn out the greatest. And she started to chip and stuff like that. This paint started coming off here and there. And then I made another character, and I thought, oh, it'd be great to have a miniature for this one as well. So then I started thinking, well, if I'm going to be painting more miniatures on a regular basis, I should probably find some tips. And I found the miniature painting group on Facebook, and that's where I started to get a lot more tips and tricks and how-tos, and learned that craft store paint probably isn't the best.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just been kind of growing and evolving for the past year as I learn new things and pick up new tricks, buy better quality products, and just it's been evolving since then.
So, have you ever touched Warhammer?
So the store that I go to get the higher quality paints in town is the Warhammer store, and they have the Citadel paints. So I go in there now to get a fresh supply of paint or brushes, or I bought the holder from there.
Yes. Useful.
Yes, very useful. And then I've also the tricks that they have taught me to use the cap of a medicine, liquid medicine bottle, which also works very well.
Yes, I was merely going towards the fact that the paint scheme is great, and the brushes, they do decent brushes, I find. And the tutorials online, I find very good as a bad painter. If I follow those, I'm really impressed. Whereas when I go off course and think, I'm going to make this up, it's awful. So I want to know about how you choose an off the top of your head color scheme.
My color schemes are all over the place, and they really just are kind of based on what the character is for me. So for instance, like one of my second or third characters, his name is Marvin Charlie, and he's an old man. He walks with a cane. And in my head, I had just pictured him as, he's bent over. He's kind of got this green plaid smoking jacket and a bow tie, and he's got like goggle glasses on. So that's what I imagined his character being. And then I had the character created on Hero Forge and sent to me.
Nice.
And then I just painted what was in my mind, So aside from that, so the painting had just started with me doing characters. And then about 5 months or so ago, I decided I wanted to try DMing. And now I need bad guys. So I also started painting bad guys. And as I'm painting bad guys, I'm realizing, oh, this is really time consuming. I want to get these out faster. And then I found the slap chop method. So I have just really kind of come into the slap chop method, and I just got in my set of speed paints, the Army Painter speed paints. So I'm working with those and trying to get a feel for them and how to use them best. So I'm having fun with the slap chop method. I have like this whole army of like undead guys here that are half black and half dry brushed, waiting to go on to the next stage.
Right, so let's clarify what slap chop is.
Yes, slap chop is when you do a base coat. I like using a spray primer of black, and then you go over it with a strong gray dry brush, and then a lighter handed white dry brush, mostly on edges. And then you put on your contrasting colors over the top of those. And the colors, having done the dry brushing, it kind of brings out highlights and dark parts, so that it's like almost a naturally occurring highlights and dark parts.
Yes, whereas normal Warhammer painting, you would spray it, do your base colours, your blue coat, your brown trousers, and then it's the Nuln Oil what seeps into the recesses, creating those shadows. But Slapchop is opposite, isn't it? You have the whole thing black, and then you only like the dry brushing, basically making the model grey apart from the recesses, and then the thin contrast paints just sit on the grey and white lighter colours. And the black's already done for you. And let me just grab a model, because my son introduced me to Slapchop this week. I don't know how well this is going to pick up, but there's not enough recesses for the Slapchop to have really worked. So we kind of resorted, I'll put a picture up, original way anyway. But I was very excited, and I'm fine with those. I'm fine, but do you find it has to be full recess, very certain models that it works on best, or?
It does definitely work on certain ones better, like things with fur. It works great with things with fur. These goblins or these undead guys, it's working very well with them. I just put on the white coat because they're very textured with all the clothing hanging off, the sunken in eyes, the bones and things of that nature, the rags on their backs, the spine coming up on their back as well. It picks up that highlight really well. So, and the rocks pick it up very well also. So I'm really liking how that is looking right now. But like on the opposite end of that, I did a little kobold riding what he's like mounted on what I'm calling like a wormling or something, like a wyvern wervling or something like that. And I did a dry brush on him, or the Slapchop method, on the kobold on top. And it was clunky, and it didn't really pick up what I wanted it to pick up. So for him, I just kind of went back with my old method, except for his like leather armor and his bow and arrow and stuff like that. But everything else I kind of went back over with my normal painting method.
I also don't know about you, but I find the fine painting difficult. The edge highlighting, my God.
I'm not really a huge fan of going back and doing like edge highlighting per se. Because I did try to do that on one of my minis, and it ended up looking too clunky for me. And also, since I'm kind of still a beginner, I wasn't really thinking about like where would the sun be coming from. I just kind of went around and was like, maybe one here, maybe one here, maybe one here. And then it just ended up looking kind of like, I don't know, just not really very realistic. So
yeah, it doesn't balance somehow, does it?
Yeah, it didn't really quite look right. So maybe I'll come back to that later. But as you were saying, the fine detail stuff, I find faces very, very difficult.
Oh yeah.
I took one of my brushes and I cut it down to one single hair. To try to do like a stamped on eyebrow.
Oh my God.
It ended up looking passable, I guess you would say. Passable. If you don't look too close, it's all right.
Yeah, like the pupils of the eyes. It's just like, oh my God, I don't stand a chance of getting that.
Yeah. I started using the head of a pin, or not the head, but the tip of a pin to try to get just a little bit of white on there, and then dab a tiny little dot. Yeah, a pin seems to work. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And do you go through a lot of brushes?
Yeah. So here's my current brush situation here. I need to get better brushes. I'm currently using the dry brushes the most, and the softest brushes that I have. Everything else in here, actually, I should probably really weed it out because they're all kind of useless. The harder ones and stuff like that. I put my brushes through hell, honestly. Yeah. Like I've had some of these in here for like 10,000 years. But I do I like have a really big soft spot for brushes because they do end up looking like just ridiculous, but
Yeah.
they're still capable of painting beautiful things. So I kind of view them as like little people, like we're all broken, but we can still do great things, you know?
Yeah. Especially for
Um,
dry brushing, when you get those battered brushes, sometimes that's what you need, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah, there's one of them in here that it's just total, like that's the only thing you can use it for. And it's actually a good one. I use it for gold and silver highlights.
Okay.
So yeah, I need better brushes, but they're working for now, I think.
Yeah. Now I've got some pictures that you sent me to put on the
Mhm.
screen. Did you make these models yourself that you sent me?
No,
Oh.
I did design a few of them myself. Like the one I had showed you, Marvin Charlie, the older man.
Hmm.
I designed him on Hero Forge and had him sent to me. Um, and I did also play with the Hero Forge models that come. It's not painted, but it's colored resin. And I wasn't particularly happy with the quality of those minis. So going forward, anything that I order from them is going to be the plain, plastic, so that I can paint it.
Oh, I didn't know they did plain. I only thought they were fully finished. I've
No,
not looked
yeah,
into it. Go on.
they have like two different quality options too. They have like a plain gray, which is like what you would just get if
Hmm.
you ordered through Amazon, which I have a lot of those as well. But they also have a really high quality black that it takes a bit longer to get it, but the quality is really really good.
Okay.
A bit more expensive.
So, so other than Hero Forge, where do you get your minis?
I have ordered minis off of Amazon, especially when I'm starting because like I don't want to spend a ton of money
No.
on something that I'm not going to be great at. So I still have like 20 or 30 minis over here that are gray that I
Hmm.
haven't painted from Amazon, and then I've ordered from Etsy. I just
All
got
right.
in a new apeling character that I'm really excited to paint and
Yeah.
play.
Do you have a favorite scale of model? Do you like your little ones, or have you painted big things yet?
I've painted one larger item, and it was the first Epic Encounters box, the first and only Epic Encounters box that I've gotten so far, and that was uh, I think it's called Temple of the Snake King or
I
something.
have that exact one. I've not
Do
painted
you?
mine yet. Yeah.
So yeah, this was only like the maybe the third or fourth thing that I painted.
Beautiful.
And now, so I've just pulled it out for this little chat, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, oh man, there's so many things I would have done differently now
Ah.
after 6, 7 months of painting.
Yeah.
Um, his mouth is so bad. I didn't use a wash on the stones, so
Hmm.
now I'm thinking about all those, the army painter speed paints that I could go back in
Yeah.
and really put a nice wash on there to bring out more of those details.
Yeah. No, that looks lovely. So how long does it typically take you to paint a mini? Like a few hours?
Uh, so I'm a mom of two kids, and
Sure.
I have ADHD, and
Okay.
I have uh, my daughter's on the spectrum, my son is on the spectrum. So I will usually like primer something one day, come
Hmm.
back, put on like a layer of maybe just painting a dress or painting a lute or the hair, and then I'll come back the next day and paint another small portion. But I've actually started doing it in groups. So
Hmm.
if I have like a group of 5 or 6 things, I'll paint like one thing on each of them, and then I'll go away. And
That
if
is
I
the
have
best
time,
way.
yeah, if I have time to come back the same day, I will. And if not, I'll just probably come back the next day or whenever else I have time.
Right, tips for beginners then, because people watching this might be like, "Oh, I want to be as good as you are," and you might think, "Oh, I want to be as good as so and so."
Oh
But
yeah,
what have you learned?
that it's very important to prime.
Hmm.
If you don't prime, your paint does not stick as well, and you might have to go over it several times. The quality of your paint is very important. Now that I've found the Citadel paints, I'm much happier with those, especially when it comes to reds and yellows. The reds that I had before, if I put down a coat of red and I wanted to, for some reason, paint over it a portion of it white, it would mix, it would blend and turn into pink. Even after it had dried for days and days and days.
Yeah.
So the Citadel paints don't do that. And then the yellows, it takes much less yellow to make it look nice, as opposed to the yellows from the craft store. It was like you had to put down layers and layers and layers for it to actually, become totally covered.
So that makes me think of mistakes, when you do something wrong. How do you handle mistakes?
I pout a little bit, and then I walk away for quite a while, and then I come back when I have fresh eyes, and you just gotta, I also do quilting and stuff like that, so you just gotta kind of rip the seams out and either take the paint off or paint over the mistakes. I don't tend to want to take paint off as much. I tend to want to just paint over. So something else I had done recently, this isn't a D&D mini, but my son is really into creepy things, and I have a friend that's really into creepy things, and I found a porcelain doll.
Yeah.
And I decided I wanted to make her very creepy, and so I painted her face. But the glow in the dark paint that I had got, I painted the red blood streaks, and it touched one of the eyes, and it's like basically sucked the color into the eye. And I was so upset. I was like, no, and then I scraped it off, and then I tried again, and I still wasn't happy. And then the other eye was wonky, and I scraped that off, and I was just like, this is taking way longer than I thought it would be. I'm just going to redo the whole face. So sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and redo the whole thing.
Wow,
but another thing I would tell newer people starting is don't be afraid to do cool things like adding glow in the dark paint. I'm finding that really, really fun and enjoyable. So like I showed you my little, I think he's a little goblin mini. Yes. I made his sword glow in the dark.
I thought it was glowy. Yes.
So he can have maybe a magic sword or something like that.
Yeah.
I like incorporating interesting little details. So I don't know if you can see, but I found a gem on the ground outside, and I thought, what a perfect little gem to put in the staff of this wizard. And so now he has this really beautiful gem in there.
That's what made me think that you'd made them.
Oh, I see. No, I like to customize them then. Like that's kind of, I like making things, special or make them my own.
Unique.
Unique. Yeah, exactly. And then I also like to add glitter. So I don't know if you can tell, but
I've not seen him. Make sure you send me all the photos of these so I can
glitter on there. Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah.
And then so my daughter, she chose a mini, and she plays D&D a bit as well, and so she wants the staff on her spellcaster to have a pearl in it. So now I got to figure out how to add a pearl detail to her mini's staff, and I just find that stuff really fun. And also like for this Yeti, there is a dusting of basically like snow-ish material on the rocks and the base that makes it glitters when I turn it. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it resembles snow. This one isn't actually glitter, but it catches the light really well.
Yeah. Have you bought any official D&D models? Because they're quite notorious for having, especially the little citizens, the commoners have quite bad painting.
No, I haven't bought any of the official D&D ones yet. I've seen them, but I don't connect with them, so I haven't purchased them.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I usually, so there's some people that can create. They have an idea of a character that they want to do, and that's happened to me maybe like 2 or 3 times. But more, I've actually picked up one of these minis that has come in the box of minis, and I'll look at them, and I'll create a life for them out of the mini with their own little quirks and eccentricities. And then I'll bring that them to life by using the paint. So I like having the mini before I create the character. That's the way I've done it with many of the ones that I have here. There's a few exceptions, like with the apeling. I created his character in my mind before I went out looking for the mini.
Right.
And looking for him was hard, and that's why I found him on Etsy.
Yeah. And your finish seems to be shiny.
Yeah, I do like using a like a gloss varnish over the top, because
What is it? A spray?
This one is Liquitex acrylic medium varnish. It's a liquid.
Okay.
I did try using a spray, and unfortunately, I don't know if the conditions were right or not, but it kind of ruined what I thought was like a finished paint job. So I was really upset with the way it turned out. And I didn't want to have that happen again. So I just switched to a liquid that I can brush on. And personally, I really like that shiny effect that it gives them. And because I do play with them on a regular basis, it's much like it's the protectant that I know will keep them looking good for a longer time. Do you use a varnish?
No, never.
Okay.
Never. But looking at yours, it's like, yeah, I can see there's a use for that. Maybe on like clothing, certain like I don't know, raincoats, goblins in raincoats. You know, like, oh yeah, shiny raincoat, stuff like that.
That would
crowns,
be cool.
jewels. That sort
of
thing.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a really interesting way to do it. And also, I do have a matte varnish that I haven't had a chance to use yet. I don't know if I'll get out of the shiny phase. If I get out of the shiny phase and move on to a matte phase, then I'll test that out. That's a really good idea.
Have you tried airbrushing? That looks difficult.
I haven't. I don't know that I would have the skill for that yet. And I assume it probably cost a lot of money. That's the problem with painting minis, is that it can be a cheap hobby or it can be an expensive hobby. And if I move up to the airbrush phase, I think that would be a pretty expensive purchase.
Yeah, I mean, it's very skilled, but I don't think there's the love in it. Spraying a can or spraying that kind of paint doesn't have the connection between you and the brush and for me anyway, the personal touch. Have you ever knocked over a full tin of paint yet? What you just bought?
No, I don't think so. No, I haven't spilled anything, I don't think.
Oh, careful.
I know. And I don't have much room here to do it, but yeah, I don't think I've spilled too much yet.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So have you got a favorite part of the process, or is it all of it?
The favorite part is putting the finishing touches on them once they have the varnish on. So like my wizard with the staff, I went outside and got a couple twigs, and then I have the grass tufts.
Don't they make such a difference?
Yes, they do.
On your little wizard
really brings it to life. Oh, I got to go the other way. And so he's got a couple twigs on there, a couple of tufts, and it really just puts them in the scene. Something I just got in as well that I'm really excited about is the battleground kind of substrate that you can put on the base. It's kind of like dirt, but like processed dirt, I guess, and then you just glue it down.
Yeah.
So what I've done a couple times, was just using actual dirt, and so I learned a lesson there. I put him into a box. Actually, I have a little box that's supposed to be for cards, but that's how I transport my minis sometimes. So it got shaken up, and then it got dirt on the rest of the minis. And
oh, damn!
I learned a lesson there.
Yeah, the base part really brings the models together, I find. We bought various sand grades and up to little slate pieces. And those tufts of grass, just a single tuft, really just does something. It evolves it,
Even just picking up a little small pebble from outside and putting it down, and next to the tuft is really cool. I've gone as far as I'm starting to collect like pebbles that I like. I
Yeah.
feel like a nerd sometimes, like, oh, that's a good pebble, pick that
Yeah.
up and I'll put it on my mini.
Yeah.
And then I've also started picking up flat rocks that I find, and I'm like, wouldn't that be cool as a
Yeah.
base,
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like for like one of my, I have some dire wolves that I just
Yeah.
painted for a one shot yesterday. So if I put my dire wolf on that
Beautiful.
base, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That is cooler than plastic. Yeah.
But I've always liked picking up rocks. I think rocks
Yeah.
are cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate any pictures that you send for this video. And please send more so I can share with other people and
Yeah, absolutely.
carry on painting, Brittany.
Thank you very much, Chris.